People become agents so they're not told what to do.
Correct.
Don't tell an agent that because you want things done a certain way on showing time, that's what they have to do, like schedule an open house. This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 336 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
Nicole, maybe with our pre-conversation before the pod,
Right,
you can read some of these consumer guides that NAR put out.
Yeah?
And learn a thing or two.
Me? Jeepers creepers. I will say though, in reading reading these guides, I said it when I was reading them. I was like, man, I think some agents need to read these.
Well, we're gonna go through them for all of you. We have 6 new consumer guides from the National Association of Realtors, and with more to come. We also have an update on the class action lawsuit against Move, parent company to Realtor.com. We'll touch on that. But first, let's jump into this story. That does have some debate. There's a nowbam.com article that we put up, is sparking debate among agents.
You mean Ricky Carruth?
Yeah, I mean, Ricky Carruth put out a video and there's some debating in the comments. So here was Ricky's quote. What is so funny is when the lawsuit happened, talking about the NAR lawsuit, their report and their stance was, we don't have anything to do with commissions. That was NAR's stance, is what Ricky's saying.
Right.
We don't talk about commissions. We don't tell agents what to charge. So he's paraphrasing for NAR. We don't say or do anything when it comes to commissions. Now, all of a sudden, they're giving sellers advice on commissions. Right now, they're advising my clients on my commission. Feels like a desperate attempt to try to satisfy the plaintiffs. So here are the 6 guides that they came out with. Guide number 1, why am I being asked to sign a written buyer agreement? These are all linked up in the NowBam article. Consumer guide number 2, open houses and written agreements. Consumer guide 3, they're not numbered, I'm just numbering them of the 6.
Yep.
Realtors' duty to put clients' interests above their own. Another consumer guide, what veterans need to know about buying a home. Consumer guide, offers of compensation, and then the last one, negotiating written buyer agreements. Okay, so these are the guides that, and they're PDFs. They're 1-page PDFs. They're very boilerplate. Like it's just 1 page with there's no graphic or anything. It's just
I mean,
words.
there's some colors on there.
There's the blue and white.
There's some blue on the bottom. What kind of graphics are you looking for? I mean, like 2 people shaking hands or something?
I'm just saying this is just the data, so you can take the data.
Well, I think what's great about it
too
is like rip off and repeat. Like you could even customize this for yourself.
Yeah.
And if you think that any of this information is helpful.
I think NAR is open or, supportive of that, right? So you can take what you like, take what fits into your business, your state, whatever. I'm not saying that we're going to go through these guides. I'm not saying taking a side here on the guides being useful or not. There's useful information in them.
I agree. I'm just a little surprised that we didn't have any guides before. But I mean, if anything, it's keeping us all, professional.
So those are the 6 guides. It did spark, getting just a little bit of the debate, a lot of comments. And some of those comments are highlighted in the article here. Somebody saying, the Triad broker saying, NAR is our trade association. I haven't heard one thing regarding this from my state commission. I have followed every ounce of info regarding this. I have had time to. Listen, I'll go a little TV timeout.
TV timeout?
You need to make time on it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that this broker is saying that they're not. She's saying, I've put every ounce of info. I've had time to. You need to make the time to have all the information. It's your business.
Right.
So get all the information. Do you have to create more time right now? I keep hearing people say like, why don't you just focus on your work, focus on doing your job.
Well, this is your work. This is your job.
Literally your job. And,
literally.
And some seasons require more. Some seasons of change just require getting all the information possible.
Oh, for sure.
If like you're, Catchmark, we went last week through all the money and the hours, for 4 or 5 years, he poured per his words and his, what he's asking for from the courts.
Yeah.
He poured hours of his life, extra hours, over hours.
It's funny. I was just thinking about it.
And now he probably doesn't work as many hours.
Well, yeah. And I was actually just drafting up a inspection response today, which I haven't done in a little bit. And I remember.
Are you saying you're not doing that many deals? I mean, on the buy side, what are you saying?
No, I'm not doing many on the buy side.
More listings.
Or people are waiving inspections, and I was drafting it up, and I remember like again back in like 12. I mean, like what you had to like draft and do, and then like I remember like referencing pages in the inspection, like. And the seller,
because you're asking for multiple things because it was
pages of things.
Because buyers had the advantage in 12.
Correct.
Yeah.
So again, like knowing this information in my mind is no different than like, again, like you said, seasons, right? Like sometimes you're doing a little bit more on this end and sometimes you're doing a little bit more on this end. But like,
yeah, there's different, you're not going to do the same thing.
Things that you need to be doing. Yeah.
And so.
Or knowing.
You had your Emerald agent say, NAR does not belong in the middle of my transactions. Now they are price fixing. It makes no sense, Ricky. Here's To Be Amazing, at To Be Amazing, that NAR would position themselves against realtor compensation at this point. It's ludicrous, and I'm glad I stopped paying realtor board fees years ago. Absolutely makes no sense. So you do have some emotion in these comments. Let's just go through some of these guides, okay? Why am I being asked to sign a written buyer agreement? That's the first guide. Okay, so there's questions in bold with answers following. What is a written buyer agreement? What does it do? Why am I being asked to sign an agreement? Are these agreements new? Are these agreements negotiable? How do I benefit from these agreements? When do I need to sign an agreement? Does this mean I have to pay my real estate professional out of pocket? Do agreements dictate the specific type of relationship I need to have with my real estate professional? Can I change or exit an agreement? Okay. So anything stand out to you there? Anything useful for agents to hand this to consumers? Anything you object to?
I think all of it is very useful.
You find it useful.
And in my head, I'm thinking right now, we used to do those like one question in 1 minute. Like, let's get the information out there. I think
Nicole's talking about a video series with the team, which were 60 seconds. You asked one question in 1 minute.
With the one team.
With the one team. Yep. So it was a little catchy thing there. But it would basically be...
Like, what is a septic inspection? What is a well inspection? Like, commonly asked questions amongst
the
consumers.
point of the video series was really commonly asked, but commonly Googled questions, right? And so some of these questions that are here in bold are likely Googled questions. These could also be, you could take each consumer guide and put this as a blog on your website so that you get some of that traffic. Maybe you don't love some of the answers and you and your attorney or whoever, your broker, can tweak some of the answers. Mm-hmm. You would expect, if you're an NAR member, that most of these answers should be accurate. There's still, what I'm finding though right now, Nick Bailey, I was at Jared James' event last week.
How was it?
In Orlando. It was great.
Good weather?
I mean, yeah, Florida's hot right now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
No hoodie weather like here in Connecticut. But
it's a little chilly.
Nick said that what he's observing, he just picked up a new job at T360. Congrats to Nick, former CEO of Remax. He said that what he's observing throughout the country is that a lot of associations, boards, brokers are changing forms weekly. So there's this settlement that happened. There's this huge gray area. Like Nick's on the side of, say, Leo Perea. And I'm not saying you have to take a side. I'm just saying what Leo Perea has been a leader in the industry, which we've covered, of saying broker to broker compensation is dead. Don't do it, even though it's technically still allowed in settlement. What he's saying, Leo, and we've covered this so many times, but he's saying, hey, there's going to be a second round that opens you up to litigation. Don't do it. It's, in his words, dead, but it's going to die out for everybody across the industry. Nick's in that camp that believes you'll never see broker-to-broker compensation moving forward once it all shakes out. So there's things like that live in the gray area. Mm-hmm. And there's, as you put into practice these changes, because change is hard, there's a lot of week to week forms that are being changed or improved. Like, oh, like once this went into practice, we didn't really see it happening that way. It tends to happen that way. We're going to change or update the form. And so, in a month, I guess my point about that is in 30 days, these consumer guides may need to be updated.
Of course, but what a great way to stay in front of the consumer, though.
Yeah.
Like, I would much rather them be getting the information from me than them getting the information and then misunderstanding it and then thinking it's a different way,
Yeah, I mean, these consumer guides are obviously accessible from the public on NAR's website, but the public doesn't really go on NAR's
right,
website.
If that's what they're actually doing.
Yeah, they're not doing that. So
I mean, they're probably not even going online. They're probably hearing it from people because, I'll be honest.
They're hearing it, unfortunately, from New York Times, CNN, Fox Business, these different mainstream media headlines, which are scaring the hell out of consumers.
Oh, for sure.
Or just creating so much confusion. Like, can I be friends with you, Nicole? You're an agent. Didn't you just murder a whole bunch of people or something? Like what?
I did just watch that show though. Have you watched it yet?
No,
the Menendez brothers, the monsters. I might go murder some people. But it's funny. So I do that 5-minute segment on WTNH here locally. And even when when I walk in,
that's cable TV for those that don't know.
Everybody comes up and is like, are you worried? Like, what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? What's happening to your industry? What's going on? And I'm thinking these people are actually the ones like telling the news.
Yeah.
And they're still asking and wondering.
You this season, for as long as it lasts, you have to be such an expert on everything that's happening.
Yeah.
To be able to have those conversations. Take the ever-changing information and data and use those tools to your advantage. Put them into action. Like that's why BAMX exists, by the way, so that you have 24 hours of every 24 hours we're putting new data into BAMX. And I'm not trying to divert here into a BAMX pitch. I'm just saying we're putting data and tools in a 24-hour look back on everything that's changing into that platform so that you can take those tools and put them right into action so you can separate your knowledge. The agents that last are going to be the ones that are the most knowledgeable by far. Yes. Get that. That buzzing is driving me nuts. Nicole's phone is buzzing over here. She didn't know how to put it on silent.
My dentist.
You not only need to know where to access the information, but you need to know how to apply it. Okay. Right. And so this is more information that you can decide whether you like or not. I am in favor of NAR putting this out, like I was in favor of EXP putting out their buyer toolkit. I thought
anything
they were
to provide information.
Or other brokerages that have done that. Realtor.com has done that. We're going to talk about Realtor.com here in a little bit too with what's going on with them. But putting this information out is a good thing, and you should be reading all of it. Okay. So how about this one, Nicole?
Which one?
How do I benefit from these agreements?
Are we still in the first one?
I'm on the first one. So
we haven't even gotten away from the first one.
This could be a question that a consumer asks when being presented with a form. How do I benefit from these agreements? NAR's answer here in the consumer guide is these agreements clearly lay out what services you, as a home buyer, expect your real estate professional to provide and what your real estate professional will be paid. These agreements make clear and reduce any potential confusion at the outset of your relationship with your real estate professional. Now, if you're going to take that a step deeper, there are things that I think are important for an agent to clearly explain to the consumer that aren't in here. Okay, so this is kind of like a 101 starting point that NAR has given you, but you need to go deeper than that. Okay.
Are you talking about like kind of like a listing appointment, like about like your like what you're actually going to be doing?
This is also a phone conversation. Like we work on this phone conversation for somebody you haven't met, that you're sending them a form, you've never met them, to see a house. That is a very odd thing to ask somebody to do. So when you say clearly laying out services and then what I will be paid for those services also should clearly state how long the agreement lasts. Okay.
Right.
Does it last 1 hour time of tour? Does it last 7 days, which gives me the ability to do due diligence, to have in-depth conversations as your representative on that particular property? Are the services just for the one property, or are they for the entire city, or are they for the entire county, or are they for the entire state? Explaining that you might just be going under agreement for that one property for a specific period of time that enables you to unlock those deep conversations and actually get into it with the buyer legally would put a buyer or consumer, some of them, at ease to now understand that, okay, if I like what you do there, like we're going to test drive the car before we actually go and drive it off the lot. If I like what you do there, then maybe we discuss long-term contractual agreements or other properties or multiple towns or entire state search or whatever the deal might be. But now we can discuss extension of agreement. Okay. Here's one thing that's asked in this first agreement. Are these agreements negotiable? NAR's first YES exclamation. Yes. Exclamation. Like they're almost like overdoing it a little bit. Well, why don't they just stick an emoji in there too?
Which one? The thumbs up one?
A little like, the one where they're blowing the confetti. What is that?
Blowing the confetti.
The little toot toot.
That would be that's what that's the emoji.
I don't know.
A party one.
It's like toot
for
toot.
Yes. That's what.
Throw that emoji.
Holy Jesus! Yes. I am so glad you don't text back. I can't even imagine what you would be texting back if you actually did.
Toot toot.
Yeah.
Give me a toot toot in the comments.
He won't respond.
You should in the comments. I respond to some comments. All right. You should feel empowered to negotiate any aspect of the agreement with your real estate professional. You should feel empowered. The wording here is just weird. Like, you should feel empowered. Like, how about the answer is yes, contracts are negotiable and they always have been.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. This is like a long, drawn out, silly, like talking about empowerment, exclamation points. Yes, contracts are fully negotiable. The type of fee is fully negotiable, and they always have been.
Right. And the length of time, and all of it.
Yeah, all of it. Open houses and written agreements. So do I need a written buyer agreement in order to tour the home? People have asked this, even agents. So to your point, agents might want to just read these just to clear up some confusion.
Yeah, there's Facebook groups that, like, the agents are still saying that they will not let someone come into an open house without
signing. Didn't we have a situation on an open house?
No, that was different. That was we didn't get written permission to do a
recording.
FaceTime during an
open house. That's an interesting situation. I'd love to get people's thoughts in the comments on that. So obviously you don't need a written buyer agreement to tour home. Open houses.
There's tons of agents on these Facebook groups, I feel like, that are like taking that stand. And it's what?
I wouldn't take the stance of needing a. Now, I've always been, let me clarify. I've always been a advocate of having all attendees of an open house signing in.
100%. That's different than signing an agreement.
Yeah, having a list of attendees because you're touring somebody's personal home. If it was a vacant home, maybe not, if you're going to a brand new development and you're going through the model home, you don't need a signature. I go through model homes.
I mean, I'm pretty sure your seller will want you to get
the
at
builder
least people's,
wants it.
Because they want they want contact information so you could follow up.
100%. The builder wants it. My point is the argument isn't as valid as you're entering somebody's personal home.
Correct.
We'd like a list. They have personal items in here.
Yeah.
The seller has asked me to create a list of everybody that's entered their home.
Yeah.
So we know who you are. Right. That I'm definitely an advocate of. Now, obviously consumers should be able to freely visit an open house without signing up for the services of a real estate professional.
Correct.
Okay. But the situation that you're talking about,
that you brought up,
should an agent or a consumer, because it could be either way, an open house is free for anybody, so whether you're an agent or a consumer, should they be able to walk around the open house and FaceTime with somebody else who couldn't be there in person?
Correct.
should you have explicit permission? I believe you should assume it's an open house. You should assume explicit permission to be able to do that, even if it's take video, because there's photos online of the house, okay? Unless notified up front that you are not allowed to record video or FaceTime, you can attend here in person, but we've made a rule at this open house that you can't do it. But you need to explicitly know that when you're walking in.
Agent
Otherwise, I'm going to walk in. I can video record in, the mall or, wherever, restaurant or whatever the case may be, unless I'm asked not to.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, this agent was very clear that in her mind, that was the rule. Like, you have to get permission.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, it's an open house. Well, she had an agent covering for her, though.
That's right. And she found out about the virtual tour, which our agent did during the open house.
Right. And she was very upset that the agent came to the open house and didn't put in a show request saying that she was going to be doing a showing during the open house as well. So there was lots of fact. I think the buyer ended up buying the house in the end.
An open house is open. Don't try to tell agents. No agent wants to be told what to do. That's why they're an agent in the first place.
Right.
Okay? People become agents so they're not told what to do.
Correct.
Don't tell an agent that because you want things done a certain way on showing time, that's what they have to do, like schedule an open house, drop in, so that they're going to tell about it. It's an open house. It's open for everybody.
My biggest problem here was that the agent was so angry after the fact that she sent an email and then said that this agent was no longer allowed to attend any of her open houses going forward. But what I asked her was that the agent that was there representing you and the client, why didn't she stop her? Like, don't send me an email after the fact then. Like, if this is really a problem, then that agent should have known to.
Hey, we're not doing recording here.
It sounded like that agent didn't know either, No,
of course not.
Yeah. So,
because they made it up on the fly.
Yeah.
I said this on a Knowledge Brokers pod, and I said it on stage last week. I'm trying to vet out if it's a true story, but let's just take it as a hypothetical.
So you're repeating an untrue story.
I'm repeating a story that I heard was a lawsuit. But I'm just telling you, even if it's a hypothetical.
You're spreading rumors?
No, I'm not spreading rumors. I'm saying this story, here's what I'll say. This story does not exist, but here's a hypothetical situation I'd like you to consider.
Oh, boy.
Okay?
Okay.
Here's a hypothetical situation I'd like you to consider. In this world of agents trying to tell other agents that the business is only done one way.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
You have a buyer who negotiates on a house.
Okay.
Seller gives up not an inch on listing price. Very tough negotiation, won't give up an inch.
Okay.
Buyer's frustrated, wanted a deal, couldn't get a deal, goes under contract anyways. Buyer now gets to inspection. You've got, let's call it $10,000 to $20,000 worth of legitimate inspection items that need to be done, will need to be disclosed if seller goes back onto the market.
Okay.
Buyer tries to negotiate. Seller says, absolutely not doing a damn thing.
Okay.
Very harsh negotiator.
Okay.
Buyer moves forward, buys the property anyways.
Anyway.
Buyer and seller are sitting at the closing table.
Yep.
Seller says to buyer, hey, sorry that the negotiation was hard and I didn't give you anything. Buyer says, yeah, I thought, price, that's one thing, but when there was these issues on the negotiation, on the inspection, I figured you would at least give me something. Seller says I would have given you what you asked for in the inspection if your feedback wasn't so disrespectful when you saw my house. And the buyer has that look that you just gave me on their face.
I just bought my favorite house ever.
The buyer says, what are you talking about? My feedback on your house. When you came to tour the house, you said the house was, you thought, overpriced and the condition that it was in, we shouldn't be asking for this. You said negative things about my home, and I got to tell you, I was never going to give you anything. I would have rather sold it to somebody else for less based on what you said to me about my home. The buyer's like, I didn't say anything about your home.
So was this written feedback the agent
sent? This was showing time feedback.
That the
buyer agent sent over to the listing agent, because all buyer agents get berated by listing agents
Berated.
that you need to put in feedback. I don't have my feedback. You better put in feedback. And what explicit permission does that buyer agent have to disclose intimate conversations?
Right.
And what could be used as strategy one way or another.
Well, that's just it, because you're like, oh, it's priced right, but then you're coming in $50,000 below. Of course she's going to say it's overpriced if she knows her client wants it.
These discussions a buyer and a buyer agent have are part of strategy, are part of personal information, are very private conversations.
So interesting, but maybe it was the agent's opinion. Because it doesn't, like, it could have been the agent's opinion on it, not necessarily the buyer's.
You better put that now. You better put agent opinion in there if it's coming from you. Hey, this is my feedback as the agent. My buyer decided not to put in feedback. This is agent only feedback. You're putting things in writing that can now be used against you.
For sure.
And what ended up happening in this hypothetical, I'll call it.
And I'm so glad I don't ever give feedback.
Is the buyer agent sued, or the buyer sued the buyer agent and, said you gave up personal information. I would have gotten $10,000, $20,000 on my inspection. Listen, just think about that. Even if that's a hypothetical situation, say I just made it up. Say I'm stirring the pot here, whatever you want to call it.
But I feel like it's a pot that needs to be stirred.
That is a pot that needs to be stirred. Here's why. What is the advantage to you disclosing this information to the listing agent? Unless you say, hey, here's where I'm coming from as a buyer agent to my buyer. Hey, buyer, I know that this isn't the house you want to choose. And we want to go looking out, touring other homes for 2 weeks. And I think that's the right strategy. But I want to plant a seed in this seller's mind so that if we do circle back, because there's still a 40% chance you might want to offer on this house in 2 weeks if it's still available, right? Yeah,
40%? Right. Maybe 50%.
No, just saying, let's say that's the situation. Hey, 40, 50% chance you want to make an offer on this. Let's plant this seed, set up our feedback in this way, whatever maybe not that type of feedback I gave you, but some type of, there's a lot of homes on the market right now. We feel like if we could come to terms on price and flexibility on closing date, there might be something there, but we have about 20 other homes we're going to look at. You set the stage where they may come back to you in that 2 week period. Now I've got the advantage in the negotiation because they came back to me before I had to go back to them.
You're also doing a huge assumption here, assuming that the agent is actually having those conversations with their client.
Well, those are the conversations you need to be having with the client.
Because I guarantee you there's agents that are probably just like giving feedback without even discussing it.
I'll even say it. We've all been guilty of that at one point in our careers, because going all the way back to the point here is agents need to stop with this. Everybody should do feedback. Everybody should do broker to broker or not do broker to broker. That was the problem I had with everybody saying, broker to broker doesn't exist. Well, it's in the settlement right now. You're choosing not to have that business model. You're foreshadowing. Stop with this. It needs to be all one way or nothing. That's what got us to this situation.
If I don't get feedback, I usually will just call the agent. Just so that I at least know, have like a
and listen, if you want to do feedback to me, I would do it kind of off the record like that.
And I'm not even worried about on the record or off the record. It's just like,
well, I'm just saying in writing.
Because people get so mad at me when I don't give feedback. And I'm like, I didn't give because they're not interested. If they're interested, I'm immediately sending it saying, we're sending an offer.
The most valuable feedback you can get when a house isn't selling is not from the buyers. They've already given you feedback with lack of offers.
Correct.
You've received feedback. We don't want it. Mrs. Seller.
I don't like it.
We don't have any offers. The market is speaking to us. But if you do want critical feedback, if you're interested in critique that's outside of the advice I'm giving you, I'll go collect 20, 30 agent feedback responses by throwing a badass brokers open, getting some people in here.
And then getting agents that
because when I used to do these brokers opens, I would actually go around and I would interview them myself.
You have to, because if they're filling out a sheet and then you don't even really know.
They're trying to get to the wine and the tuna sandwich.
Well, then you're like, but is this person even really actively in the marketplace where they know that this is really, truly like
I want to go around and interview them personally and be like, what if you had the listing I know you came in second place for the listing, but if you had it,
I know you'll never get the listing.
I know you'll never get the
but
listing.
If I gave you the listing, you totally would do that.
And you have to be careful with feedback because, listen, most agents don't like you. They're jealous of you. So you got to be careful with some of the feedback too.
That's where it's
that
so
would be more
difficult.
valuable.
Wow. I like that you're stirring this pot.
I would advise against giving feedback unless you have permission from your buyer.
Or just,
Or
again,
it's just part of the
if someone's
strategy.
really pushing you, just, they have pre-made spots. Just say like, are you interested? Yes. Just like hit no and then just send it.
And when I said this on stage in Orlando last week, I could see the faces like, I've never thought, right? Like every time you say that, agents like, never even thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But this is something.
Well, because again, what you hear as an agent is like out of respect for like,
Out of
like,
respect. That.
well, like we work together. Like this
I
is
never
what,
swear on the
this is what
on the pod, but that was bleep that out.
Because that's what people like make you feel though. Like she has no respect for like.
That's
no,
ridiculous.
I just no.
You don't owe.
Yeah.
And this is where NAR got up in everybody's heads. You owe agents all this. Listen, this is a competitive environment. What you owe is
your fiduciary responsibility to your client.
The client.
Yeah.
You owe it to the client.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of other, we kind of went off page there.
Totally off page, but I feel like that was a good convo.
But there's a bunch of other, listen, I'm not going to say, we all agree, NAR is way behind the 8 ball on everything.
Yeah.
They're playing catch up on everything. The consumer guides, good for them. I think that your broker probably has already put out something that's better. You can take this. Point is, you need to read everything, take what is useful to you.
Yeah.
Take the tools. Again, that's why BAMX exists. Take the tools, put them into action. And we make it easier than anybody to surface what's relevant at the very top of the day so that you can put it into action. Real quick, because I did tease it out, the class action lawsuit against Move, which is the parent company to Realtor.com. Inman wrote another piece on this, getting some agent feedback. We've covered this, but you have some agents now speaking. None of these are the plaintiffs, is what Inman said. These are just agents that they talked to. One agent said, I was being told by one agent I worked with that he had a lot of major success with Realtor.com. I thought things might have improved. It kind of empowered me to try it again.
Ooh, empower. I feel like that's the word of the day.
Yeah, I guess so. So that agent did buyer leads in 2 zip codes for $600 a month and didn't have much success and kind of was a little whiny about lack of success there. Mm-hmm. So what's interesting is you go to the bottom of this piece, there is another agent who said, this is a Washington, D.C. based agent who says, $100 to $500 a month, so $600 would be in that category. These people are expecting sales out of it. It's almost a joke. You need to spend money to see results. The conversion rate on these sites is pretty low. That's true.
Correct.
5% is a good conversion rate on these portals. You need to talk to 10 people to make one sale. If you do super well, you do 20% conversion rate. I'd be hard pressed to find somebody doing 20%.
I was going to say even one sale out of 10.
One out of 5. He's saying, he goes, so $100 to $500 a month won't get you quality leads. It just won't get you in a place like Washington, D.C., where he's talking about, D.C., it's going to cost $500 for a lead. Okay. Right. So if you're spending $600 a month and you're expecting your business to change, no, it's just not going to. And there's a whole bunch of people that are still complaining about this. And again, we've talked about this in the past, just not taking ownership. I like the fact that they went out and interviewed Robert Slack, the chief operating officer for Robert Slack, Lauren Bowen. They have 800 agents. They spend $500,000 a month on Realtor.com just for the Florida operation, $600,000 across all states. She said, we started as 4 agents.
Yeah.
Realtor.com helped them grow. And she goes, it's less than 10% that have a fake number or whatever. She goes, if it was more than that, we wouldn't be a partner with Realtor.com. So at some point, with all the things that are happening, and that's just an update on that one, there's no settlement or there's no outcome here yet on that lawsuit. And I know there's people on both sides of this that feel like they had a bad deal with the leads. At some point, all agents need to take accountability. If online leads aren't for you, if they aren't for you, that means you can't pick up the phone every time within 5 seconds and respond within the first 30 seconds. Then you're right. It's not for you, but it doesn't mean that that they're fake. If you responded 3 hours later, you're fake in your business execution. If you respond to an online lead 3 hours, 6 hours, a day later, even an hour later, your business execution is fake.
Right.
You're a fraud.
Yeah.
You're
not a fraud.
You're a fraud in the online portal deal of on. You would be a fraud if you built your own Google pay-per-click leads and then didn't respond for an hour. You're fraudulent in your execution of what.
You mean like fraudulent to yourself?
Yeah, to yourself,
okay.
to your own business.
I don't know that fraud's the right word.
My point is you're a fraud because you're saying these leads don't work, these leads are crap.
Yeah.
And your execution doesn't map out to how online leads across any industry work.
Correct.
You have to be lightning fast. You have to be aggressive with follow-up. And if you don't, that's not your style, that's also okay.
Right.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to generate online leads, which seems crazy to say in 2024, but there are people that don't generate online leads and are doing quite well, are doing just fine.
Yeah.
Whether it's a different format of online with social, or it's referral based, or maybe you have some real referral networks built in with attorneys and lenders and whatever the case may be, right? So you have to understand what you're getting into and what it takes to execute on those type of leads in order to have the audacity to even bring the conversation. Google pay-per-click, the reason why do people, do you think, buy Realtor.com and Zillow and other leads when you could just go do what they're doing on Google pay-per-click to your own website?
Right.
It's because your website
is terrible.
Well, it's not. It's probably
fraud.
Not terrible. It's not fraud. No, there's very good websites actually out there. That's not the case at all. It's that your website doesn't have the impact of brand that Realtor.com or Zillow has. So the conversion rate is a little higher through those. The stickiness of that, like if you're a cola drinker and it's like you got a chance to tour Coca-Cola headquarters and get wine and dine by Coca-Cola or RC Cola. Remember RC Cola?
Yeah.
And you just love, Coca-Cola. You love soda pop.
You're going to Coca-Cola?
Well, who wouldn't? You get a chance to tour once in a lifetime, the headquarters, the history of all that. You're going to tour Coca-Cola instead of RC Pop, or RC Cola, whatever it's called.
Is it even around?
I don't know. RC Cola. Let's find out.
Let
us know in the comments. RC Cola. You have an RC Cola today or not?
RC Cola.
Point is, the brand matters.
Oh, for
and it
sure.
creates a stickiness.
Yeah.
All right. That's the update on that. Nicole.
That was lovely. Are we doing more? Oh, boy.
No, we're not doing more. We will do a lot more in just a 4 weeks or so at BAM Mania. Nicole's going to be there.
Let's go.
BAMmania.com to get your tickets. Make sure you do it immediately. VIP are selling out this week. October 17th and 18th for the VIP experience.
Do you have a block of rooms?
There's a block of rooms.
Or is it too late for those?
Nope, still a block of rooms available. And we also have our kickoff party on the 17th, pre-registration Legacy Club. Circa.
That's Thursday.
Okay. Everybody's invited to that. 18th main event. After the 18th, we have an after party. BAMmania.com. It is the state of the union address, so to speak, for real estate across the industry. We're talking marketing. We're talking business, operations, stuff that's happening with all the changes. Notorious ROB, our buddy, him and I are going to have a little fireside about some of the changes in the legalities.
And you told me that you're going to have tables.
You will have a table. Yeah, you'll have a table.
It's not like you're just sitting in chairs.
Perks and everything that you expect at a great conference, but even better, this one is also going to have entertainment. You usually don't see that. So between talks,
we got to get Hulk Hogan there or something.
Yeah, Hulk's going to be there, right? That would be a fraudulent statement. Hulkamania will not be there.
I would love to have Hulk there.
BAMmania.com. Make sure you grab your ticket. BAMX members, you have 25% off. Keep it real, guys. We'll see you next week on the pod.
See you guys.
August 17th approaching. It is more important than ever for agents to keep their clients, not just for the transaction, but for life. So I believe so much in what Reminder Media is doing. They're creating content that allows you to stay in front of your sphere of influence, the clients that you've transacted with in the past, so that they think of you first when they have a referral, when they have another transaction. A lot of people send a just sold or a just closed realtor talk mail. Reminder Media supports agents like Nicole, my co-host on The Real Word, in building out an authentic magazine where you can advertise your own properties. Here's an example of our award-winning luxury new development that we have in Connecticut. Put it right on the back and put in a whole bunch of relevant information. You can build out the content inside of your magazine and send it to maybe people you're following up with to get a listing, or people who are in your database right now who know you but might just forget about you because you're mixing in with all the postcards from the other agents. Reminder Media keeps you top of mind with the people that you want as clients for life. That's why we believe in so much of how they're helping agents just like you stand out. Go to remindermedia.com/BAM sample. Remindermedia.com/BAM sample today to get your sample and start reminding your clients exactly who you are today. At BAMX, we listen to what real estate professionals want and need. That's why our platform is filled with sought-after courses, content, and tactical assets for your business. And that's why we launched BAMX in a box with templates and scripts done for you, delivered each Friday. The best part? It's not coming from panel pontificators who bought their followers and don't sell any real estate. It's coming from top agents, team leaders, and content creators in the industry. It's education that actually shows you how to do what you need in today's market. And now it includes editable templates and scripts so you can easily deliver that knowledge to your database. Every day, we continue to add more content into BAMX, into our private Facebook community, content that works, content that our members have exclusive access to daily. So do not wait any longer. Use code REALWORD and join the thousands of agents taking their business to the next level today. Code REALWORD for 10% off. I'll see you in BAMX.